So when we talk about communion, we often talk about the bread and the wine, the blood of Christ in the cup that we partake. But I actually went and Googled up a dictionary and tried to find out what exactly does communion itself mean. And this is what it said: fellowship, and it also said rapport. In other words, relationship. Okay? So if there's a relationship, one of the relationships with God in the Bible that I really admire, that really challenges me, is that of Nehemiah as described in Nehemiah chapter 2. His relationship with God was so real, so fresh, so alive, and so present. God wasn't this long lost friend that, he had to awkwardly catch up with because they've not spoken in a while before making his request. God was someone that was with him. Even in really tight moments where he only had a few seconds to make a decision, he was still able to reach out to God without having to reintroduce himself to God. Now, let's look at Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 4 and 5. It says, "Then the king said to me," this is Nehemiah speaking, "What are you requesting?" Then it says, "So I, Nehemiah, prayed to the God of heaven. And then I said to the king, if it pleases the king, and if your servant has found favor in your sight, that you send me to Judah, to the city of my father's graves, that I may rebuild it." Now, you've been asked a question. Before you answer, you pray about it. That right there really fascinates me, because you have to ask yourself, how many times do we have decisions to make? And do I actually pause in the midst of that moment before blurting out an answer to pray to the God of heaven? This type of prayer requires or demands a few things. One, it means that it is not dependent on place, okay? It is just founded on that full conviction that God is everywhere. He's omnipresent and He's with you right there. This prayer is not dependent on the time of day, whether it was midnight or 3 a.m. or noon or evening. He knew that he had a direct line of communication with God. This prayer was not dependent on a particular occasion. Kuna wale, let's just confess, we only pray at certain occasions, Sundays, before food, maybe when a bad thing has happened. But this really was inviting God to be the center of his life, literally at the center of his decisions. And ultimately, this prayer shows us that Nehemiah had a habitual sense of talking to God. It was a dependence on him that he had calculated over a long period of time. And so, as we think about this, you have to think about yourself and how do we put ourselves in this situation. Nehemiah had resolved to set apart a time of prayer just before this. For 4 months, he was actually, there was nothing else in his mind. He was praying about this particular meeting and this particular decision. And so when the king asked him a question, you would think that in that moment you finally have a chance to go before the king. Just tell him that very thing you've been praying about. I mean, you've spent 4 months on it anyways. But still, in that moment, he decided to pray. Man, that really challenges me. And I really hope that you guys are getting this. And to us, that doesn't look like a lot of time to say a prayer. But it was just enough time for God to even notice his prayer. And that should just remind us of how big and how omnipresent he is, and how much of a relationship he desires with you and with me. But the fact is, Nehemiah wouldn't have been able to have that. And I don't think this story would have made that much sense if it wasn't for the sort of relationship that Nehemiah had cultivated with God. One that was fresh, one that was alive, one that was present, and one that was so real. So a challenge to all of us today: are we actually in communion with God? Lots for you to ponder right there. Thank you so much for watching. This has been CITAM Church Online. My name is Joyce Omondi. Catch up with us on social media at CITAM Church Online on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Watch these episodes online. Be a part of the family by subscribing to our YouTube channel. And also, you can take or listen to the episodes on our podcast. That's Anchor stroke CITAM Church Online. With that said, asanteni sana. Until next time, God bless you. Bye.